Reddit stories. r/relationships. I, 21 female, met a guy, 24 male, this week. We get along really well, but I feel that things are moving way too fast. How do I confront him about it? This past Monday, I went on a date with a guy I met on Hinge about 2 weeks ago. We have similar interests, so I decided to give it a shot when he asked me out. We hit it off pretty much right away on the first date, since we have such similar interests and senses of humor. It was pretty normal, with us going to get lunch and then dessert, but a few things stood out to me. Firstly, he declared that he was no longer going to use Hinge because he met me, which is way too rapid of a declaration in my opinion, considering we had just met and were just getting to know each other. He also made sure I wasn't talking to many other guys, and said that he didn't want to be dating someone promiscuous, since he himself is not. I'll let him know that I thought he was moving too fast, and he immediately apologized and said he wasn't trying to make me uncomfortable. Next, while we were talking, he grabbed my hands from across the table without asking if I'm okay with it. A little while after, he excused himself to go to the bathroom before we left the dessert place. When he came back, he grabbed my waist from the back while I was off guard. Then, when he was driving me home, he put his hand on my leg, and I kind of panicked and hit his hand off, but played it off as a joke, since I didn't wanna hurt his feelings. At this point, I thought he was just someone who expresses their emotions through physical touch, and ignored my discomfort. The next day, Tuesday, we called to plan our second date, which would be on Thursday, since we both thought that the first one went really well. Again, we hit it off, and talked for a long time about random things. The day after that, he asked me, out of the blue, to go run an errand with him. The request felt too weird and domestic, so I made an excuse and said I was busy, and we just switched topics after that. We had planned our second date for 11 AM. He'd pick me up, and we would go get lunch, go shopping, since we are both into clothes, and then end the day with a movie. The first thing he did that day made alarm bells go off in my head, but I ignored them in favor of not ruining the date immediately. That morning, I texted him good morning at 10 AM, and he immediately offered to come over and help me get ready. It was a really uncomfortable request, and felt really invasive to me. I said no, but tried to make it playful, so I wasn't flat out rejecting him. He also brought me a pair of his old headphones as a gift, because mine were broken. I tried to deny the gift as well, but accepted them, because he kept saying it was fine, and I should keep them. Again, the date went well, with a few strange occurrences. During the date, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said no, we are moving too fast, and to ask me again in a few weeks. Taken we've only been seeing each other for 3 days at this point. Additionally, he pointed out a picture frame while we were shopping and said that we should get one so we can have a framed picture of us at some point. He stayed over for a bit. After he dropped me off, we watched a horror movie and I was scared. We ended up having a somewhat deep conversations about our values, and we found out that most of our opinions aligned and that we have super similar ways of thinking. He left, and we agreed that he would come over the next day to study. We are both still in school. The next day, we studied and cuddled for a bit. It was all fine, except he'd randomly imply that we would definitely be in a relationship in the near future. We'll do when we are actually dating. He'd also say things like you're already mine, which made me super uncomfortable, but I played it off as to not make him embarrassed. That day, he also made me his phone lock screen after taking a candid photo of me off guard. I'm a pretty touchy person, so I was being physically affectionate with him, but I felt that my words and facial expressions made my discomfort pretty obvious when he said and did things implying that we would be, or that we already are in a relationship. He also offered to drive my roommates and I to the gym that day, since we had already planned to go. I told him that they would be uncomfortable with it, and so would I, since we basically just met, and he was already trying to insert himself into my life, but he kept pushing it, until I gave him a very firm no. I feel suffocated, and it's barely been a week. How do I confront him about it? I don't even know if I want to see him anymore, since his actions make it clear that he gets infatuated quickly and shows little emotional restraint. I have very little dating experience, only dated one person in my adult years, i.e. since high school, and appreciate any advice at all. If you've read this far, thank you for staying all the way and sorry this was so long. TLDR, a guy I met not even a week ago is acting with 100% certainty, as if we'll be in a relationship. He's also finding ways to insert himself into my life despite having just met me. I feel that we should only be getting to know each other right now, and that he's moving way too fast. I don't know how to confront him about it. *EDITED for clarification. Edit number 2. Thank you all so much for the input. I'm reading through each message and taking your advice into consideration for when I confront him and for self-improvement. Edit number 3. I've sent him a text explaining how his words/actions made me uncomfortable and that I would like to part ways. He took it well and apologized, stating that he's sorry for behaving in such ways, which happened as a result of him feeling comfortable around me, and that he shouldn't have prematurely pushed my boundaries. He wants to meet up in person to talk about it, but I've declined and asked for a phone call instead. In case anything happens, I've told a trusted friend exactly what's going on. She also has my location, and I'm with my roommates currently. Now for edit comments. I'm a therapist, so I'm looking at this through that lens. The moving too fast, ignoring your discomfort, mirroring, mimicking your values/thoughts/opinions. So it seems like you have everything in common. The physical touching, testing, and pushing your boundaries, and inserting himself into your life are not good signs. That is really fast. He may also be trying to love bomb you. These are usually the first signs of dating someone who is emotionally immature and or downright abusive. Listen to your gut. Why is preserving his feelings more important than your comfort? It's been less than a week. Cut your losses. Girl, you need to adjust your standards for a date that went well. If you're uncomfortable every time you see him, the dates are not going well. This whole post set off major warning bells to me. He is moving way too fast and is love bombing you and trying to get you to be his way too fast. This makes me think of those posts/people who date for under a year, get married, get pregnant, and come to the realization that their partner is minimally emotionally abusive, many times escalating to physically. No matter what his mask is telling you about values and so forth aligning, his mask is already slipping and showing very concerning behavior. Please don't continue this relationship. I'm super concerned as a woman that you let this guy know where you live already. BC, he's showing obsessive behavior so far. Please, for your safety, cut this off now. Tell roommates or friends or both about this so they can keep an eye out for this guy and keep you safe and stay observant. I'm not generally a paranoid person, but everything this dude did to you reminds me very much of an ex of mine that I dated when I was 17 and he was 22. We dated for under a year and lost touch. He found me like a year ago and is trying to find out where I live and such. I'm 41 now. This stuff is creepy and scary, and maybe I'm projecting, but I don't think I am. Take care of yourself, please. You're already mine. Now, drop him. You really need to stop and work on your boundaries before you start dating any more people. This is really serious. A person with poor boundaries is easily spotted by people who target them for exploitation or personal gratification. It means that, even if you realize you're in a dangerous situation, which you noticed multiple times, you were too passive and unassertive to protect yourself. You need to spend some time practicing going through situations in your head where you make people uncomfortable and upset or humiliated by standing up for your needs and being determined to stand up for them, even if the whole world is demanding that you give in. Your life could depend on it. What do you think? Drop your comment down below.